Hello, and thank you for joining me. Tashidale Namaste to all of you. Thank you so much for practicing Dharma with me. If these Dharma teachings are helpful to you, please take a moment to like and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you have any questions about these teachings, please add them to the comments section, and I'll be sure to answer them for you. I think that it's really important that if you hear something that you don't understand, I would love to help you understand it better. Today, we're going to continue with our teaching on compassion. And if you missed last class, this is class 2. I would advise you to please go back to that first class because each class will build upon the last class. Today, I'd like to discuss a couple of key points. Number 1, I'd like to talk about the importance of mindfulness as a foundation to transform our self-cherishing thoughts. Secondly, we'll discuss how compassion in a Mahayana Buddhist sense should be free of expectations. Not easy. That topic's not easy. So last week, we explored the disadvantages of self-cherishing and the advantages of cherishing others. A very important key instruction for any Dharma practice is momentary mindfulness and alertness. If we're not mindful and we're not alert, then when we have selfish, angry, jealous, and hateful thoughts, we'll never be able to eliminate these afflictive emotions, let alone replace them with love, compassion, and bodhicitta. If a negative emotion like anger, jealousy, attachment, hatred, or really any other negative emotion arises and we fail to notice it, then we're swallowed up by that emotion. It's almost as if the moment that a negative emotion arises, if we fail to see it in that moment, it grabs us, and then we just end up thinking more and more about the reasons that we're angry, and this person did this, and that person did that. And so, what really happens is this not only wastes our time, but it kills all of our peace, and it causes us to create negative karma after negative karma. However, if we see the negative emotions the moment that they arise, then we can gain freedom from them. Therefore, we should understand very deeply that the foundation of our Dharma practice is mindfulness of thoughts and mindfulness of the mind. This is so important. We must be aware and alert of everything that arises in our mind. All the various emotions, ideas, thoughts, and memories that are arising within the mind should be captured and recognized by clear, non-judgmental awareness. Without mindfulness, and just by the way, just to define this, mindfulness is just knowing. Mindfulness, alertness, awareness, being aware and cognizant of what's arising in the mind. That's what we're talking about. Because if we're not aware, if we don't know anger has arisen in my mind, if we don't see it and recognize it, it's going to swallow us up, dominate us, control us, and it's going to cause us to do a lot of things we regret. Okay? Now, without mindfulness, if we just learn the definition of love or the definition of compassion, generosity, patience, if we just learn the definition of these things, we will not be able to apply it. We have to have mindfulness in order to change our habits. So think of it this way. Learning Dharma without applying it would be like buying a car with no engine. That car might look really pretty in front of your house, but if you can't drive it, it's kind of worthless, right? The great Tibetan master Patrul Rinpoche said in his book, Words of My Perfect Teacher, he's a great Nyingma master, and this book, Words of My Perfect Teacher, are really fantastic. In fact, when I took refuge with my Lama in Nepal way back in 2018 in Kathmandu, Lama Sangye Rabten, he gave myself and my friend, my Dharma brother, Desmond, he gave us instructions to go purchase Words of My Perfect Teacher. And I studied it quite extensively. It's a brilliant book. And Patrul Rinpoche is really a highly respected and venerated Lama across all the different schools of Tibetan Buddhism. So Patrul Rinpoche said, when people are seriously ill, they go to consult a doctor. They want to find a good doctor. And they follow the doctor's advice, take whatever medicine he prescribes, and do all they can to overcome disease and get well, right? In the same way, you should cure yourself of the diseases of karma, negative emotions, and suffering by following the prescriptions of that experienced doctor, the authentic teacher, the Lama, the teacher that gives us the Dharma. And by taking the medicine of the Dharma, so we should really think of this, I'm kind of out of the quote for a minute. We should think of these teachings that we've been given by Buddha, all the lamas, the Bhantes, the Ajahns, all of these wonderful gurus. We should think of these teachings like medicine given to us to cure our delusion. And so Patrul also said, following a teacher without doing what he says is like disobeying your doctor, which leaves him no chance of treating your illness. Not taking the medicine of the Dharma, that is to say, not putting it into practice, is like having innumerable medications and prescriptions right beside your bed, but never touching them. That will never cure your disease. So you're kind of left with this image of, if we receive all of these beautiful Dharma teachings and we fail to apply them, we're kind of like a sick patient laying in bed with a perfectly fresh medication prescription right there on our table next to our bed, and we're just failing to take that medicine. Okay. Another Tibetan Lama master, very well-known master, Pabonka Rinpoche, the author of Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand, said, he actually used this term, developing the attitude that diligent practice will cure the illness, as an explanation for how Dharma cures our confusion. Very similarly, right? Similar to what Patrul Rinpoche said. Similarly, Pabonka points out that a master's instructions are like medicine to pacify the disease of delusion. And if we fail to put them into practice, they won't benefit our mind stream, no matter how profound the teachings are. He also said that failure to put Dharma teachings into practice is like a sick patient leaving a doctor's medicine by the bedside. Actually, both of those masters use that same analogy. What a profound analogy. It's so obvious. So no matter how profound and beautiful our Lama's teachings are, and even if their Dharma teachings are perfect solutions to our problems, if we lack mindfulness of what's happening in our minds, we simply cannot apply their teachings. Without mindfulness, the negative emotions will control us the same way they always have. Personally, I had to learn this the hard way. I had to learn the hard way that there's a big difference between understanding a teaching and actually applying it. For a long time, I've been the sick patient that left the medicine by his bedside. The truth is, it's not easy to apply these teachings. Why? You could say that they go against everything we've ever been taught. It's not easy to apply the Dharma because it goes against the grain of the habits we've been developing for the past trillion lifetimes. Or if you don't believe in reincarnation, for the past X number of years we've been alive. Since birth, we've been learning things a certain way, mostly about self-cherishing, self-grasping. Okay, so, and of course, if you're a Buddhist and you believe in reincarnation like I do, you could say for countless, immeasurable past lifetimes, we've lived according to the afflicted emotions, like the 5 poisons of anger, attachment, delusion, jealousy, and pride. So even though we might want to apply these Dharma teachings to our lives, it can be very difficult. And for that reason, we have to be very patient with ourselves, very gentle with ourselves. And we have to understand that this practice of developing love and compassion is about small incremental improvements. I mean, by all means, if you can master this overnight, please do. And I will prostrate to you if you have the ability to just absorb yourself in these teachings. But if you're anything like me, it takes time. And if you fail to be gentle with yourself, and if you fail to be patient with yourself and understand that it takes time to transform the mind, by failing to be patient with yourself and gentle with yourself, you might just drop Dharma altogether and say, oh, this doesn't work. But I assure you, this works. Countless past masters have transformed themselves. Buddha Shakyamuni, Milarepa, and a long line of other, beautiful masters that gave us the most perfect teachings. They've done the same. They've transformed their minds from selfishness into altruism, love, and compassion. So slowly and steadily, we can transform our minds to be full of spontaneous love and compassion. But it will definitely take time. And the key is to establish and develop mindfulness. Even if we understand compassion and we strongly believe in it with a big wish to apply it, if we lack mindfulness, we simply will not have the ability to actually apply it in our lives. If we're always in a state of distraction, unaware of our thoughts and emotions, we'll never really be able to take the medicine of the Dharma that our kind, physician-like teachers are giving us. My teacher, Lama Gyurmi, he's a Karmakagyu master who lives in the mountains of Manang, Nepal, 6 to 8 months out of the year. He's there now. He says that we must surrender to compassion and be compassion's slave. He says we should let compassion be our boss and really guide us. Every step we take, every move we make in life, compassion should be our boss. What a beautiful idea. If compassion is our boss, could we harm anybody? No. So he says we should let compassion itself be our boss because in a way you can say compassion is the Buddha and Buddha is compassion. So understanding or knowing the definition is a necessary first step. We need to understand the definition of compassion and love and all these things. But if we only know the definition of compassion without applying it or living it, it's not going to benefit us and it's not going to benefit others. So by surrendering to compassion, we can begin to apply it to our lives. Using mindfulness, we're talking about this, knowing what we're doing, knowing what's arising in our mind, knowing I'm sitting, I'm teaching Dharma, I'm spinning a prayer wheel, I'm drinking tea, knowing whatever we're doing, when we're doing it, that's all mindfulness is. And if anger comes up, we have to know, oh, anger has arisen in me. We can't hope, while anger is arising, we can't hope that it doesn't arise. That's not a strategy. It's here. By the time it arises, it's here. So we have to take steps to deal with it, manage it. When negative emotions arise, if we don't manage them, they will manage us. So we have to, the real key is knowing that they've arisen, okay? So back to compassion, by surrendering to compassion, we can begin to apply it in our lives. Therefore, again, just understanding the definition of compassion is kind of like having a surgeon that only read about how to do a surgery. Imagine a surgeon reading, here's how you do a heart surgery. You cut the chest. I do not want a surgeon. I don't know about you, but I never want a surgeon to operate on me if they only read about surgery in a book. No, thank you. They need real life experience, right? They need senior surgeons guiding them, teaching them, making sure They don't cut the wrong blood vessel or something that's gonna cause us to die, right? They need real life experience, right? Even if a surgeon was educated at Harvard Medical School, but only learned about surgery in books, I would never want them to operate on me. Okay. So regarding mindfulness, I'd like to share a quote from Lama Gyurmi again. He actually wrote a book called Solid Like a Mountain. Well, he gave teachings, and then I created the book for him to share it with all sentient beings because I have a lot of faith in his teachings. He said in his book that, oh, by the way, his book is a commentary on Atisha's Bodhisattva Jewel Garland. Atisha was kind of the Lama that brought Buddhism to Tibet the second time. The first, there have been a few lamas that came from India to Tibet. One was Padmasambhava Guru Rinpoche, and there have been a couple others. But really, Atisha kind of came back based on the request of the king of Tibet to come back and help clarify a lot of the confusion. I think Buddhism had kind of gone off the tracks or gone off the road a little bit into the ditch, and people were practicing kind of inauthentic forms of Buddhism. So Atisha went to Tibet, and essentially his school of Buddhism became the Kadampa tradition. He taught his main disciple was Drone Tompa, who was actually he wasn't even a monk; he was a layperson. And then a whole series of what came to be known as Lojong practitioners, like Drome Tompa and Langri Thengpa and Chekwa Yeshe Dorje. And there's this whole series of practitioners that came out of this Kadampa tradition, which was really solely focused on love, compassion, and bodhicitta, and training the mind, transforming the mind to be full of love and compassion and kindness and forgetting self-cherishing. So anyway, the quote I'm going to share is from Lama Gyurmi's commentary. The book is called Solid Like a Mountain, and it's available in Amazon, and it's free on Apple iTunes because I actually wanted to give it away free, but Amazon requires you to charge for it. So anyway, please feel free to download his book for free on Apple iTunes. If you want his book and you can't find it, put a comment in the comments of my YouTube, and I will send you a link so you can buy it. Or if you can't afford it, I'll give you a free copy. So anyway, he says, Atisha said, remembering vigilant and mindfully, guard the doorways of your senses always. 3 times a day, 3 times a night, again and again, examine your thoughts. So Lama Gyurmi's commentary tells us that the practice is to simply know what you're doing when you're doing it. That's this foundation of mindfulness I've been talking about. Know what you're doing when you're doing it. Lama also tells us to constantly examine our thoughts, let go of negative thoughts when they arise, while nurturing and enhancing positive thoughts when they arise. So we're trying to get rid of these negativities and lift up the positive. Negative thoughts are selfish, self-cherishing, self-centered thoughts. Thoughts that are focused on me, and my happiness and what I want. These are negative thoughts. Positive thoughts are wishes to increase the happiness of all sentient beings and wishes to reduce the suffering of all sentient beings. Those are positive thoughts. When we experience these positive thoughts, we should be very, very happy that they've arisen. Make sure that, when you're doing these practices, there's something called joyful effort. Joyful effort or joyful appreciation is actually one of the 6 paramitas, one of the 6 perfections. And we shouldn't be practicing this dharma as if it's, a job that we have to do with no joy and no happiness. We should really take a moment and think about, we should be really, really happy that these thoughts have arisen and make sure we take a moment to feel gratitude, appreciation. happiness that thoughts like love and compassion can arise. Your thoughts of love and compassion are like medicine that can cure the whole world. These are not, these are not a small matter. They're profound and compelling and a big deal. And just a side note, I think I shared a post the other day from the Lama Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche that says, some people think that this exchange of self and other, which I talked about last class, which is the removal of selfish thoughts and the promotion of love, compassion, bodhicitta, generosity, all of these beautiful thoughts. Some people think that these practices are low practices, and Mahamudra and Dzogchen and Tantra are the real practices. But Dilgo Khyentse said nothing could be further from the truth. And in fact, he even mentioned that you really cannot practice the great perfection, Maha'ati, Dzogchen, Trekchod, without love and compassion as a foundation. You may think you're practicing it, but you won't be practicing it. So I think really understanding that thoughts of love and compassion are like medicine that can cure the whole entire world. Make sure that we understand their importance and that we give ourselves a chance to feel appreciation for such amazing thoughts like these. These thoughts of love and compassion are extraordinary. When we engage in these Dharma practices of love and compassion, they might begin to seem ordinary or boring or basic just because we're doing them repetitively. But I assure you, they are not. They are not boring or ordinary or average. They're extraordinary and profound. So it's important that we make a point to recognize their beauty and really have a sense of joy and appreciation whenever they arise. It's like if a thought of love or compassion comes into your mind, let it warm your body and mind. Let it give you that glow, that radiance, that happiness that it has arisen. In other words, we should make sure that we feel a sense of joy and happiness about thoughts of compassion. Just the mere arising of thoughts like compassion and love are very precious, and they're definitely worthy of our appreciation. Another beneficial word of advice that Lama Gyurmi gave me pertains to unconditional compassion. So here we're practicing love and compassion. We're trying to promote the cherishing of others and reduce self-cherishing and selfishness. So he says that compassion should become so strong that no matter what others might say or do, that compassion is so strong that their words don't affect us. They don't make us angry. They don't make us respond to them, harshly or with aggression. So he says that we should make our love and compassion so strong that no matter what others say or do, it doesn't affect us. In this way, he tells us, our compassion should be solid like a mountain. When it rains, the wind and the thunder blow, but the mountains remain firmly unaffected. They're very stable, right? The mountains are very stable. Similarly, our compassion must be very, very stable. And it will be if we continue to study and practice it. Again, remember what I said earlier, just incremental improvements day over day. If you thought of love and compassion once today, tomorrow think of it twice. Just little by little making these improvements. Our tendency, back to what Lama told us about making love and compassion solid like a mountain, our tendency is for reciprocity. In other words, we want other people to reciprocate our generosity or our love by giving something to us back in return. And Lama Gyurmi says this is not unconditional love and compassion. Rather, it's like a business transaction. I'll sell you something and you give me $10, something like that. If our love and compassion are unconditional, then we give them away with no expectations for anything in return. So as we learn about compassion, we should make a point to remember that compassion is the wish for all sentient beings to be free of suffering and its causes. However, it does not say, the teachings do not say that these beings are supposed to give us something back. I'll give you compassion if I'll give you 1 unit of compassion, you give me 1 unit of compassion. It's not a business arrangement. The key here is that we should generate compassion and love with absolutely no expectation for anything in return. We only have one expectation, actually, when we're practicing love and compassion and cherishing others. And that expectation is the happiness of all sentient beings and their freedom from suffering. The moment we have an expectation for ourselves, our motivation is no longer pure and our practice has gone totally off the rails. Geshe Sopa, I talked a lot about him last class. He has another book that's really beautiful. It's called Peacock in the Poison Grove. It's a commentary on 2 different mind training texts. One is called Wheel Weapon Mind Training. The other is called Peacock in the Poison Grove. And he says that, I'll kind of quote from his book. He says, just as he pulled the sinner out of the well when he was the monkey bodhisattva, so you too should guide evil people compassionately without expecting good in return, even to one's detriment. So what Geshe Sopa was talking about here, he was actually making a reference to one of the stories in the Jataka tales about one of Buddha's past lives. Buddha was a monkey bodhisattva in that life, and the monkey and a man were trapped in a well. And the monkey was sleeping, and while the monkey was sleeping, the man conjured up this idea: I need to eat meat, or I'll never escape this well. I'll never have the strength to get out of the well. So he hit the monkey with a rock, and it woke the monkey up. Remember, at this time, this was Buddha Shakyamuni in a past life as a monkey, right? So the monkey woke up. However, the rock didn't harm him; it just woke him up. So when he woke up, the monkey knew that the man was trying to harm him or kill him. However, rather than harming the man back, which is what most people would do, the monkey actually had compassion for him, and he guided the man out of the jungle to help him. And the monkey maintained compassion, and he also knew that this man, due to trying to kill the monkey, he was going to suffer grave negative karmic consequences because he had just tried to harm a bodhisattva. It's taught, in Buddhism that if you try to harm, the higher level of bodhisattva that we might harm or try to harm, or Buddha, the karmic consequences are very grave because you're harming somebody that's benefiting infinite sentient beings, right? And we would never want to do that because we're indirectly harming a multitude of sentient beings. So, the teachings that I'm sharing with you tell us to cherish others and to reduce our self-cherishing. But, these teachings, as I mentioned, they might go against the way most of us were taught by our parents and teachers and society and our, coaches and the media, movies, TV. These teachings are kind of going against the grain. So you could say in this way, they're going against the very conditioning and the conditioning we've received in our lives. And in this way, they're kind of counterintuitive, kind of opposite of what we expect, opposite of the way we think, right? In fact, due to our conditioning and the lifestyle of modern people, it's likely that many of us think that cultivating a mind of compassion, for example, is only beneficial for others. And for that reason, people might be hesitant to practice them because they think there's nothing in it for me. Why am I going to be compassionate for other people's, or for other people and other sentient beings, animals, and all living beings? Why am I going to be compassionate for them? It's not going to help me. That's totally false. 100% false. In fact, when we develop a mind of compassion for others, there's no guarantee that it's even going to benefit them. but there's definitely a guarantee it's going to benefit us. It will absolutely benefit us. We will benefit. Beyond happiness in future lives, which will definitely happen, our physical health will benefit immediately now from cultivating compassion. Okay. There are many reasons for this, and I'll get into this next week, but to name a few, when we cultivate compassion, which is the wish that all sentient beings are free from suffering and the causes of suffering, when we cultivate compassion, it increases our oxytocin levels. It increases our progesterone levels. These are chemicals that benefit our body. They heal our body. They heal our physical health. So next class, I'll do a bit of a deep dive on the science, the modern science, and the benefits of compassion as explained by modern science. But the bottom line is this. What we should really know is that although we falsely assume compassion is, meant solely to benefit others, the truth is that the only guarantee about compassion is that it will actually help us, help our bodies, help our minds. Here's an idea. When we're thinking about ourselves and what we want and what we need, we get really tight and really tense. And as a result of chasing what we want and what we need, we typically will produce a great deal of negative karma. We harm ourselves and we harm others. But just for one moment of compassion and love, that's one moment we're not thinking of ourselves and creating negative karma. Okay. There's a bit of a catch, though, when we're cultivating this compassion. That compassion will only benefit us if it's, purely generated in order to benefit others. If we're creating compassion to look good, it's not really sincere, right? So we've really got to do it in order to genuinely and sincerely want to benefit other sentient beings. But we can enjoy the compassion that we're producing, and we can have gratitude for how beautiful and amazing that compassion is. In actuality, just hearing the word compassion is of inexplicable benefit for our hearts and minds. Geshe Sopa reminds us that we have a tendency to think that our problems are caused by something external, can be found outside of ourselves. But this attitude has never brought us peace. So we really should make sure that we understand the reason we're cultivating love, compassion, bodhicitta, and generosity, patience, diligence, joyful effort, ethical discipline, concentration, and wisdom. The reason we're cultivating these beautiful perfections is because the old way never brought us peace. We've suffered for infinite past lifetimes. Even just in this lifetime, we've suffered so much by trying to get our own way, trying to me. But when we cultivate compassion, we have peace, we have happiness. On that note, I'd love to share a quote with you from one of my favorite lamas, my favorite masters. It's a beautiful quote from Dogo Khyentse Rinpoche's book, The Heart of Compassion. He says, to have love and compassion for all beings as if each one was your only child is by far the best way to repay the Buddha's kindness. And to help them is the most supreme offering to the Buddha. As Buddha himself said, incense, flowers, lamps, and so on are not the best offering to the Buddha. The best offering to the Buddha is to benefit all sentient beings. Therefore, to make offerings to the Buddha benefit all beings. Your offerings will delight the Buddhas and make all beings happy. There is no other way to please the victorious ones than to bring all beings to happiness. What a beautiful quote. And it's important, a lot of Asian countries that practice Buddhism have the rituals of making offerings to the Buddha. But they might not understand that the real offering to the Buddhas is love and compassion for sentient beings. That's the most authentic, meaningful, profound offering we can make to the Buddhas, is to benefit sentient beings, to cultivate the mind of love and compassion. I would like to thank you, my friends. Deep thank you from my heart. I am rejoicing the fact that you're practicing Dharma. It makes me very, very happy, truly. Please let's make sure that we take time to apply what we've studied here today together. We are study buddies, Dharma study buddies. Make sure that we understand the importance of applying this. If you're investing even 1 minute of your valuable time to think about Dharma, to listen to Dharma teachings, to read, to practice, to meditate, and then you're not turning around and applying it in your life, it's like that car sitting in your driveway with no engine, or like the physician learning how to do surgery just by reading. We have to make sure we apply it so that we can bring ourselves peace, freedom, appreciation, joy, happiness. These things are here for us if we can focus on applying the teachings. So let's make sure we apply what we've learned today so that the words of these precious masters don't remain as just words on paper, but rather they benefit our lives and the lives of all of those around us. Let's now dedicate the merit of this practice to all mother sentient beings. By dedicating the merit, we make sure that whatever positive merit or positive karma we've accumulated during that practice, it's not able to be destroyed by future anger or negative afflictions. So I dedicate the merit that has arisen as a result of this Dharma practice with my friends. I dedicate it to all sentient beings. May all beings benefit from these teachings. May all wars end. May all of those people with hate in their minds and hearts transform that hatred to love, compassion, bodhicitta, generosity, patience, gentleness. So with this, we dedicate the merit. I look forward to the next class, my friends. I'm very, very grateful that you are practicing the Dharma. It's not ordinary that you're practicing the Dharma. It's very, very special. Make sure that you feel that joy and appreciation for it. Okay? Take care. Have a great day. Sending hugs. Bye.